Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video. 3 new clearing areas have developed around Giga Texas, and on my previous video I wasn't sure what they were, but now I know. So let's discuss, and I'll give you a little bit more information about what is going on. Going to the City of Austin permit site, and with the help of Patreon Desi Doolin and my YouTube viewer David Johnson, we were able to figure out that this is part of the Sandhill Lateral Extension project that was recently approved. Now, there is a lot of information available on the City of Austin site. The link is here at the bottom of the screen. It will also be in the video description if you would like to get more in-depth information. The Sandhill Energy Plant is located across the Colorado River on the south side of Giga Texas, and it is fueled by natural gas, and it has a capacity of 595 megawatts. Austin Energy oversees many different plants around the area with a total of 4,600 megawatts, and Sandhill is one of those plants that they manage. Here are a few of the documents that cover the permitting process from the City of Austin. This one is the main permit itself. This is also the site plan application and approval for the major project. And this image shows you the first page of 48 pages in the site plan itself. And as I mentioned before, the link is at the bottom of the screen if you would like to get more in-depth information. This schematic and overall map shows you where the gas pipeline is being installed. Starts on the south end, goes underneath the Central Highway, and then underneath the river, going to the north along the west side of the highway, and then terminating just to the north of Tesla Road. Let's look at the 3 main clearing locations that are related for this project. This gives you a good idea where it's located on the northwest side. This area looks like it's a terminal for much of the gas pipeline. The inset image gives you an idea of what that may look like. Now you can see Area 1 is Tesla Road. Area 2 is that Northwest Material Staging Lot to help give you a reference of where we are looking. Further to the south, the second clearing follows the Central Highway all the way down to the end-of-line facility. And this inset map gives you an idea of where this is located. Now, the map on the bottom is from the site plan, and the top map gives you a visual idea of where this runs. Number 1 is the end-of-line facility and outbound lot in the far distance on this image. Number 2 is the tent material staging lot, and number 3 is that northwest material staging lot. The final clearing area I'd like to point out is on the south side of the Colorado River at the Sandhill Energy Plant itself. This map gives you a good idea of where this is located. Now, this is going to use horizontal drilling underneath the Central Highway and the Colorado River to run along that west side of the highway to the north. These arrows give you an idea of where this is located, as the orientation is 180 degrees based on the map and the image. So that's a quick review of the construction that we are seeing on the Giga Texas site, how it relates to the Sandhill Energy Plant lateral extension and its additional capacity. Now, I don't know if this is related to Giga Texas's expanding power needs, but that is a likely possibility, and I'll continue to monitor that as time goes on. Again, the link is at the bottom of the screen and the video description if you would like to get more detailed information. A few other items. On Monday the 19th, I was able to be at the delivery of my nephew's Cyber Beast down in San Antonio at the Service and Sales Center. There's a lot of great information along the way for new EV owners and also new Cybertruck owners. And my nephew and his wife Sandra did a great job in helping to answer those questions and just help give an idea what it's like to be in the process of picking up your very first Cybertruck and Tesla. So anyway, I hope you take a look at that video on my YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. Also, while I was there was a Cybertruck that had the gray interior. So they allowed me to take these images, so I thought you might find this interesting to kind of compare what the gray interior looks like as compared to the white interior. And it pretty much just replaces all of the standard areas on the doors and dashboard. The seats remain the same as in the regular white Cybertruck. I hope that you found this helpful. And finally, another video I put out. This one is about a Cybertruck tire rotation and also some information about the suspension. In addition to that, I take a look at the castings and the E-coating that is on my vehicle. And I showed you the difference between the early VIN on the left, which is gold, and the later VINs on the right, which is black. Now, this is a part of a process that changed the production line at Giga Texas. This image shows you what the Cybertruck used to look like with that gold E-coating. And starting sometime in July, they switched over to the black E-coating. And this is a big deal because it means that there is a new part of the production line that separates Cybertrucks and Model Ys and greatly affects the efficiency of Giga Texas's production. Okay, it's time to get into the drone, fly around, and see what Giga Texas looks like today. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Good morning from a beautiful Giga Texas and a nice sunrise today. I'm going to start on the south side of the Colorado River because I want to give you an update about the lateral extension of the Sand Hill power plant that we talked about in the video intro. And you'll see that coming up on the bottom of the screen right now. What we can tell is more of the pipes have been laid out along this section. And according to what we were talking about in the intro, this is where the pipes will extend underneath the highway coming up on the left. And they're going to be horizontal drilling that will go underneath the highway over to the other side where you can actually tell in that green kind of pasture, another clearing with more equipment waiting for this work. And in fact, on that side, they have one of the horizontal drilling machines. And at the bottom of the screen on the right and left side, you can see the orange kind of markers on either side of the highway. And that's where that horizontal drilling will take place. And once it gets to the left side of the screen, it'll go under the trees, under the Colorado River, and then along the road all the way to the north. And I'll give you some closer views of that later on in the video, but please check a look at the intro for more information. So as we fly back to the north over the Colorado River, get a great view of the south side of Giga Texas, River Road, the Cyber Pond, and a new asphalt section, which I will show you closer in a moment. But first, I wanted to take a look here. All of the trench work, the underground store water pipes, and other work that they were doing underneath the South Bridge looks like it's mostly completed. So another set of progress going on with more construction at Giga Texas. Now here's a great view looking at the south end extension, the glass-facing wall, and that newly paved section of this southwest corner. And it kind of continues all the way along about where the boring tunnel opening in the perimeter grade beam is located. We also see many Cybertrucks starting to stack up here along the fence on the right, coming out of the factory. That's the exit point for the Cybertrucks right now, and more being stored next to this trailer on the bottom and left-hand side of the screen. I'm going to continue to maneuver the drone around, give you a better view of all these Cybertrucks, some of the activity in the General Assembly receiving doors on the left-hand side of the screen, and a good view of how that south extension is continuing to make progress. As I get closer in, a couple things to note. As we mentioned before, the lower temporary platform has been removed, and you can tell where that opening is on the upper left. A lot of the trench work has now been completed on the ground here, and more asphalt has been put down on this section inside the factory. This actually wraps all the way around over to where the boring tunnel is, and we'll see that here shortly. More of the interior walls being prepared on the left, equipment and ductwork on the ground ready for installation, and a good view of some of the employees just starting for work today. Now I'm going to bring the drone in closer and zoom in and give you a great view of the boring tunnel. You can see some of that asphalt that's been put down kind of on the other side of the tunnel, and how they have cleared off pretty much all of the construction materials, getting ready for that facing structure so they can start using it. Also, work inside some of these interior rooms and how this is starting to take shape. A lot of the equipment that is also stored here. And with all of the workers, it's a great sense of scale. As we come up to the second floor, good view of that trapezoidal opening that goes down into that entrance, and a good close-in view of the work on this mezzanine. A lot of the pipes, heat exchangers, and pumps underneath that mezzanine structure. And then here is where the main cooling pipes come into the building, and then they have manifolds that go over. And all of that is to cool that supercomputer cluster that is being installed here, also known as Cortex. I'm going to turn the drone towards the south now. Look at all of this asphalt that has just recently been placed, and looks like they are just preparing this for maybe a parking lot and maybe also a roadway that will go around the south over the 3 tunnels that are all taking shape quickly. Great view of the sun coming up over the horizon on the east, and a view of this southwest corner and all of the asphalt that has been put down as we've been discussing. Now, as I maneuver over the cyberpond, I'll come in closer to look at these 3 tunnels. Again, these tunnels are used for emergency egress of people. They're not meant for vehicles or for loading of equipment or anything else. And they will be a subgrade once all of the work is completed. There's a good view of 2 workers for a sense of scale in the tunnel on the left. Some of the work being done here on the ground. Almost all of the rebar on this side on the left has been removed, which is a great sign that the tunnels are getting close to being done. This central tunnel still has some scaffolding around it, more of the equipment and forms on the ground here, some of the rebar waiting for installation. And on this tunnel, the crews just finished pouring the concrete roof, and you can see the workers up on top as they are finishing up that concrete work. So all 3 tunnels are making a lot of great progress. As we continue to look at the southeast corner, a good view of the asphalt that has been put down over the last few days. And there is a pretty large slope away from the building on the asphalt, and that will help with drainage when it starts raining. As we come in closer to the building itself, a good view of the ground and second floor. I will zoom in and you can get a good sense of these plate type red and silver heat exchangers on the ground, on some of the steel and interior walls. Also on the second floor, more of the interior walls and ductwork that has been installed. And as we pan the drone over to the cooling plant, see a lot of workers getting ready for the beginning of the workday, and how the pipes and the installation is going on here on the ground level. And a lot of continued progress to get this system all set up and connected to the pipes that go underneath the ground, about where the asphalt ends in the middle of this picture, and then over to that extension. So let's fly around and take a look at the roof of Giga Texas on this south extension. And what we'll see is crews finishing up this one section of the insulation panels that need to finish up this area. Also, we can see those rectangular cutouts with the holes at the kind of the bottom of the screen. That was for the drainage system of the roof. And here's a zoom in showing you what the work looks like with that black membrane and some of the insulation panels. That black membrane is semi-porous, and it will allow some of the water to drain through and then go over to the drains for the roof itself. And that all that gray area is where that supercomputer system is being installed. As I continue to pull away, I'll keep it zoomed in here for a moment. A great look into the second floor. Also, the well-lit eastern side of the cooling power plant and or the cooling plant, and the work that continues on the ground level to get everything set up. Also, a great view of those 4 tanks inside the structure, some of the blue and green pipes that have been laid out on the north end, and another set of scaffolding on the side of the building. Good look at the line pond, the glass company workshops and materials on the kind of the gravel mixture next to the River Road extension, and a good view at the multi-level parking garage. Now, interestingly enough, we can see that sort of some temporary walls with kind of poles at an angle are holding up around the east and the south side of the multi-level parking garage. Not sure if this is just for lighting because of the early morning sun, or if there's another reason. We do see that on the north end as well, so for some reason they are adding that in, at least in a temporary fashion. So I'm going to fly over the roof, go over to the west side, and we'll resume the narration on the other side of the highway. We had some good views of the land clearing that continues to proceed to the south. This is where that gas pipe for the Sand Hill lateral extension will be installed. This is going up to the north, and it will follow along the east side of the end of line all the way to Tesla Road and beyond. While we're here is a good view of the boring company tunnel system and the equipment that they have arrayed on the left-hand side of the screen. In the middle where the tunnel face is, we know that there's been about 3 rings removed. All of the concrete blocks that were placed here for the initial tunneling operation have now been removed, and the excavation work around the tunnel face continues. Now, the clearing for that gas pipe will show that the gas pipe itself is going to go around the tunnel near where that worker is pulling up all of those weeds, and it will make a slight bend and make sure it goes over the tunnel, I believe, and then it will continue all the way to the north. And that's one of the reasons why they have all these flags here, is to make sure that the workers putting in that gas pipe know where the tunnel is located. And as we look to the north, I'll fly up along this clearing. More of the green pipes have been laid out here. That's what will be installed once they start the trench work. And then when that's done, maybe we'll see this clearing paved. There is a large group of Cybertrucks here on the east side of the outbound lot. This is the newly finished part of the outbound lot. Still waiting for the light poles to be installed, but a great look at all of these Cybertrucks. Many more on the west side of the outbound lot, lined all the way up from the north to the south. In the middle area, the test track on the west side of the end of the line is very busy today, with more vehicles proceeding up to the north end for processing, and about a quarter of the superchargers are being used today. We see more of the land clearing along these power lines, and also some of the markers where that power line is going to go. Those are those white poles, the vertical poles that are located along where the dirt has been disturbed. And we can see some of those orange fences as well, where excavation work will be underway. As a great look at the north end of the end-of-line facility, with the Cybertrucks and Model Ys preparing to go in to finish up their final processing and end-of-line work before they move to the outbound lot for shipping. Speaking of which, a good view of the north part of the outbound lot here, with more Cybertrucks and Model Ys ranged waiting for their turn for processing. As I turn the drone towards the north again, this is a look at this clearing. It's still got a lot of vegetation in it, but we can tell where the dirt has been disturbed and moved away. A lot of these pipes being laid out for that gas pipe, and it runs right along that tinted material storage yard and continues up to the north exactly as I showed you with the site plan documents in the intro. And a great view here of all the pipes that are being laid out in preparation for installation once the trench work continues. You can also tell that the working area is kind of subgrade to the land on either side of it, so it's a little out of view even from the frontage road. But here's a great view of the equipment near the north part of this clearing. Also underneath those white poles and the lines that go from right to left, you can see the horizontal drilling that is underway going underneath Tesla Road, and it will be exiting here where you see those orange fences, and you can see some of the pipes being positioned near that north face. Good view of more of the pipes that are being laid out here. According to the site plan, this is kind of a terminal, so there will be a series of pipes kind of zigzagging back and forth throughout this location. And where it goes from here will be something that we'll have to continue to monitor. But a great view looking to the south of the entire area where the pipes are being installed from this point along the highway under the Colorado River and over to the Sand Hill Power Plant. As we cross over the highway, we'll start here at the Megapack site. Also gives you a good idea of where that clearing is in relation to the Megapack site. And I will bring the drone down in lower, give you a zoom in and take a look at this vault-like structure. This is actually a bridge for the wires coming through the conduit to go over another gas pipe that runs through this area. And that's why you see those kind of the cable trays at the bottom of the structure. And then the wires will come up through the conduit across those cable trays and then back down into the ground through these vaults. And then along this dirt path underneath the Tesla Road and then over to the northeast side of casting, where we'll see crews pulling the wires through the conduit here shortly. So let's get ready to cross over Tesla Road and take a look at the north face of the factory. Crane is active today, getting ready to pick up some of these trays with a lot of 55-gallon drums of material to the upper part of the platforms. It's a good view of the north face of the paint shop. And then here are those trailers with the temporary cooling units. And as we get closer in, a good view of some of the cables that have been installed, some tents for probably shade, the large blue pipes and the manifold that they've been installing, and how it goes into the building on the right-hand side of the screen. Also, these 3 new receiving doors underneath that canopy and those trays that are used for the biscuits, which are trimmed off of the castings when they come out of the casting presses and then prepared for use. A lot of them being stored on the ground here today and also in some of the rack mounts. And as I mentioned, crews are busy pulling the wires through here. This goes all the way up through that conduit system to the south end of the electrical switch yard and then continues on the roof here along the parapet wall to the full south part where the supercomputers are being installed. Here's a good view on the east side of this concrete apron with heavy reinforcements of the rebar. Also, it looks like tracks for another bridge crane that can be mobile coming in and out of the openings. More of those columns on the right, and it looks like more of the concrete is being sectioned and removed on the left-hand side of the screen. Continue to work on more of that concrete in the forms, and then of course the baghouse filtration plant continues to see more and more equipment being installed, pipes on the ground and on the upper surfaces. And it looks like there's a tent next to that steel tank on the left. Also, a ladder with a landing has now been installed on the top of that tank. More equipment on the ground ready for installation. Here's a good overall view of all of the construction here on the east side of the casting machine structure. Now, one of the things I did notice just to the south here, past these castings and the open doors, is that this area with these receiving doors is finally getting the forms in rebar after all of the work to prepare the ground and put the pipes in. So this is now really getting to the point where we're going to see concrete poured, and then these receiving doors will be operational. So I think that's great news for Giga Texas. As we pass over the turbo roundabout, also known as Cyber Circle, get a good view here of the end of the testing lot, and on the right where the vehicles are, the Model Ys and such, are employees taking advantage of charging. And on the left is more of the brand new Cybertrucks waiting for processing, right next to that helicopter pad. A good view of all of the pipes and materials on that clearing waiting to go to the south end extension. So I'm going to pull away over the east warehouse on wheels and give you a good overall view of the main factory, the multi-level parking garage, and the work that's going on that south extension. In addition to that, the east parking lot, the warehouse on wheels, the overflow lot. We also do see the warehouse on wheels is now expanding to the north in that middle section, as I thought it might. And as we continue to pull away, a good view of the battery cathode plant, die shop, a crash test facility, and also the cell test lab. So that's a great look at a lot of sections around Giga Texas today. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great week.